Erika had always known she was different. From her early childhood, she had been singled out for the large birthmark that covered the right side of her face. In her small town of Glenville, people could be cruel, and the children at school had no mercy. They called her names and made her feel as if she didn't belong, despite her talents. She was brilliant at school, excelling in art and design, and her teachers praised her abilities. But none of that mattered when all anyone saw was her face. As she grew older, Erika withdrew from the world. She stopped trying to make friends and didn't bother attending social events. Instead, she poured herself into her art, her drawings becoming a form of escape from the cruel reality she faced every day. By the time she reached adulthood, Erika had managed to carve out a small career for herself as a freelance graphic designer. It was the perfect job for someone like her. No face-to-face meetings, just emails and phone calls. She could hide behind her computer screen and pretend the outside world didn't exist. At 28, Erika lived alone with her elderly grandmother, Margaret, who had raised her since her parents' tragic death when she was just a child. Margaret was her rock, the one person who saw her true beauty and believed in her when no one else did. Erika spent her days working on design projects and caring for Margaret, whose health was slowly declining. But despite the love between them, Erika couldn't help but feel lonely. She had resigned herself to a life without romantic love, convinced that no man would ever look past her appearance. On the other side of town, in the bustling city of Arcadia, Andrew was living a life most people could only dream of. At 32, he was the CEO of Sterling Enterprises, a top real estate development firm that had made him a multimillionaire. Tall, handsome, and charismatic, Andrew was the kind of man who turned heads wherever he went. But his wealth and success came at a price. His social circle was filled with people who cared more about money and status than anything real. Women flocked to him, but they were only interested in his wealth, not in who he truly was. Andrew had grown up in a modest family, the son of a baker and a teacher. His parents had instilled in him the values of hard work, humility, and kindness. But as his career took off, he found himself surrounded by people who only saw his wealth and power. Despite his charm and good looks, Andrew had never found a woman who loved him for him, not for what he could provide. By now, he was disillusioned with relationships, tired of the superficiality of the dating scene in Arcadia. One day, Andrew decided to take on a new project, developing a luxury residential complex in Glenville, the quaint little town where he had spent some of his childhood summers. The project was part of his plan to give back to small communities while also expanding his business empire. But he had no idea that this project would lead him to someone who would change his life forever. Erika's life was about to take an unexpected turn. She had recently completed a major design project and was looking for her next opportunity when she received an email that would change everything. The email was from Sterling Enterprises, requesting her services to design the branding and marketing materials for their new luxury residential development in Glenville. It was the biggest opportunity of her career. Sterling Enterprises was a huge name in the real estate world, and working with them could open doors she never dreamed of. But there was a catch. The project required her to attend meetings in person at the Sterling Enterprises office in Arcadia. Erika's heart sank at the thought of stepping out of her comfort zone and facing people in the real world. She hadn't been in a professional office setting in years, and the thought of enduring the stares and whispers again made her anxious. Still, her grandmother encouraged her to take the leap. "You can't hide forever, sweetheart," Margaret said gently. "You're talented, and you deserve to be recognized for your work, not judged for your appearance. This could be the start of something wonderful." Reluctantly, Erika agreed. She couldn't let her insecurities hold her back from such a big opportunity. She told herself it was just a few meetings. She could survive that. On the day of her first meeting with Sterling Enterprises, Erika dressed in her best professional outfit, carefully arranging her hair to cover part of her birthmark. She knew it wouldn't hide everything, but it gave her a small sense of security. As she entered the sleek, modern office building in Arcadia, her heart raced. She could feel the eyes of the polished, well-dressed employees on her, but she kept her head down and made her way to the conference room where the meeting was being held. Inside the room, several people were already seated. including a man at the head of the table who seemed to command the room's attention. Erika didn't know it yet, but this man was Andrew, the CEO. He glanced up as she entered, their eyes meeting briefly. There was something in his gaze, curiosity, perhaps, but Erika quickly looked away, too nervous to dwell on it. The meeting began, and Erika presented her design ideas with quiet confidence. She spoke passionately about the vision she had for the project, focusing on creating a brand that would resonate with both the community and potential buyers. As she talked, Andrew listened intently. He was struck by her creativity and the way she spoke about her work with such heart and depth. Unlike the shallow business presentations he was used to, Erika's approach felt genuine, and Andrew found himself intrigued. But Erika didn't notice his interest. She was too focused on getting through the meeting without drawing too much attention to herself. When the meeting ended, she gathered her things and quickly made her way to the door, relieved that it was over. But as she reached for the handle, she heard Andrew's voice behind her. "Erika, could I have a moment?" She turned, her heart pounding. "Yes, Mr. Sterling," she replied, her voice barely audible. Andrew smiled warmly. "Please call me Andrew. I just wanted to say that your work is truly impressive. I can see you put a lot of thought and emotion into it. I'd love to hear more about your design process sometime." Erika blinked, surprised. No one had ever shown such genuine interest in her work before. "Thank you," she said softly, unsure of what else to say. Andrew nodded, his eyes lingering on her for a moment longer than necessary. "We'll be in touch soon about the next steps." As Erika left the building, she couldn't shake the strange feeling in her chest. She had never expected anyone like Andrew to take notice of her work, let alone compliment it so sincerely. But she quickly pushed the thought aside. He was just being polite, she told herself. After all, someone like him couldn't possibly see her as anything more than a designer. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of something much bigger than either of them could have anticipated. Erika returned home that evening, replaying the meeting over and over in her mind. While the rest of the team at Sterling Enterprises seemed distant and professional, Andrew's words of praise had stuck with her. But she didn't dare entertain the possibility that he saw her as anything more than a business associate. In her eyes, men like Andrew didn't look twice at women like her, women with scars, both visible and hidden. The next week, Erika found herself back at Sterling Enterprises for another round of meetings. This time, her designs had advanced to the final stages, and the marketing team was discussing how to implement her concepts. As she sat at the large conference table, Erika felt the usual prickle of self-consciousness as the polished executives discussed strategy. She was acutely aware of the way they glanced at her, trying not to stare, but clearly curious about the mark on her face. Andrew sat at the head of the table again, but this time he didn't just listen. He directed the conversation toward Erika, asking her to explain her vision in greater detail. His questions were thoughtful, as if he truly wanted to understand the depth of her ideas. Erika answered as best she could, trying to stay focused, though she felt the weight of his attention. After the meeting, Andrew approached her once more. "Would you mind sticking around for a bit? I'd love to get your input on something." Erika was hesitant but nodded. They walked down the hall to Andrew's office, a large, elegant space with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of the city. Andrew gestured for her to sit while he retrieved a folder from his desk. "I've been thinking about the designs you presented," Andrew said, his voice thoughtful as he flipped through the folder. "Your work is more than just a branding strategy, it's art. You have a way of telling a story through your designs, and I think that's what makes it stand out." Erika blinked in surprise. "Thank you," she said, feeling a warmth spread through her chest at his words. She wasn't used to receiving such genuine compliments. "I know this might sound odd, but I was wondering if you'd consider doing some additional work for us," Andrew continued. "I'd love for you to help design the interior concepts for the new development. You have an eye for detail, and I think your style would be perfect for what we're envisioning." Erika hesitated. "I've never worked on interior design before." Andrew smiled. "I have no doubt you could do it. Your talent speaks for itself." Something in the way he spoke made Erika feel seen in a way she hadn't before. It was as if Andrew didn't care about the superficial things that had always made her feel less than others. But despite the warmth she felt in his presence, Erika quickly reminded herself not to get carried away. Andrew was a professional, and this was strictly business. The next few weeks brought Erika and Andrew into closer contact. Erika accepted Andrew's offer to work on the interior designs for the development, which meant regular meetings and collaborative sessions at his office. As they spent more time together, Erika began to see a different side of him. He wasn't the typical high-powered CEO she had imagined. There was a kindness and humility about him that set him apart from the people she had encountered before. Andrew, in turn, was drawn to Erika's quiet intelligence and passion. He found himself wanting to know more about her, beyond the work. He learned that she lived with her grandmother and spent much of her time caring for her. He admired the way Erika balanced her personal life with her career, all while maintaining a sense of humility and grace. But even as they grew closer, there was an unspoken wall between them. Erika kept her guard up, unwilling to believe that someone like Andrew could truly see past her appearance. And Andrew, despite his growing feelings for her, sensed her hesitation. He didn't want to push too hard or make her uncomfortable, so he kept his feelings to himself, hoping that in time, she would come to trust him. One evening, after a long day of meetings, Andrew suggested they grab a bite to eat. "I know a great little diner not too far from here," he said casually. "It's nothing fancy, but they make the best sandwiches." Erika hesitated, not sure if it was appropriate to mix work with something that felt so personal, but Andrew's easygoing manner put her at ease, and she found herself agreeing. They walked to the diner, the conversation flowing easily between them. For the first time in a long time, Erika felt relaxed in someone else's company. As they sat across from each other, sharing stories about their lives, Andrew noticed the way Erika's face softened when she talked about her grandmother, or when she described her love of art. Her beauty, he realized, was not in her appearance, but in her spirit, her intelligence, and her resilience. And for the first time, Andrew found himself wanting to protect that beauty, to make sure she knew just how extraordinary she was. As Erika and Andrew continued to spend more time together, people at the company began to notice. The rumor mill churned, with whispers about the CEO's new designer friend making their way through the office. Some of Andrew's employees speculated that there was more to their relationship than just business, while others gossiped about Erika's appearance and wondered what Andrew could possibly see in her. Erika, of course, was aware of the whispers. She had always been sensitive to the way people looked at her, and this time was no different. It hurt to know that people were talking behind her back, but she tried to focus on her work and not let it get to her. Still, the sting of their words lingered. One afternoon, as she was walking through the office, she overheard two employees talking in the break room. "I don't get it," one of them said. "Why would someone like Andrew be interested in her? She's, well, you've seen her." The other person snickered. "Maybe he's just being nice. Or maybe it's some kind of charity case. Who knows?" Erika froze, the words hitting her like a punch to the gut. She quickly walked away, her heart pounding in her chest. No matter how hard she tried to ignore it, the judgment of others was always there, lurking in the background, reminding her of the world's cruel superficiality. Later that day, Andrew noticed that Erika seemed quieter than usual. "Is everything okay?" he asked gently. Erika forced a smile. "I'm fine, just a little tired." But Andrew wasn't convinced. He had seen the way people at the office looked at her, and he hated that they were making her feel this way. He wanted to tell her that none of it mattered, that he saw her for who she really was, but he wasn't sure if she was ready to hear it. The pressure was beginning to weigh on Erika. The whispers, the stares, and her own insecurities were starting to take a toll. One evening, after a particularly difficult day at work, she returned home to find her grandmother coughing heavily, looking frail and weak. The sight of Margaret in such a fragile state broke something inside Erika. She had been holding it together for so long, but now, everything seemed to be falling apart. That night, as she sat by her grandmother's bedside, tears slipped down her cheeks. She felt overwhelmed, by the weight of her responsibilities, by the constant judgment of others, and by the fear that she would never truly be accepted for who she was. The next morning, Erika showed up at the office, her face pale and drawn. She wasn't sure how much longer she could keep up the facade of strength. As she worked on her designs, Andrew noticed her distress. He approached her gently, his voice soft. "Erika, if you ever need to talk, I'm here." Something in the way he said it made Erika's walls crumble. She looked up at him, her eyes filled with unshed tears. "I just don't understand," she whispered. "Why do people have to be so cruel? I'm trying so hard, but it's never enough." Andrew's heart ached for her. He reached out and took her hand, squeezing it gently. "You are more than enough, Erika. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. They don't see what I see." Erika blinked in surprise, her heart skipping a beat at his words. "What do you see?" Andrew held her gaze, his eyes filled with sincerity. "I see someone who is talented, kind, and beautiful in ways that most people are too blind to appreciate. And if they can't see that, then they're the ones who are missing out." For the first time in a long time, Erika felt a spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, there was someone who saw her for who she truly was. And maybe that someone was Andrew. After Andrew's heartfelt words, a shift began between him and Erika. Though neither explicitly acknowledged it, there was an unspoken understanding that connected them now, a fragile thread of trust woven between their souls. Erika found herself looking forward to her meetings at Sterling Enterprises, not just for the work, but for the moments she could share with Andrew. There was something comforting in his presence, a warmth that made her feel seen and valued in a world that often overlooked her. For Andrew, spending time with Erika became a highlight of his day. He admired her resilience, her strength in the face of adversity, and her quiet intelligence. Every time they worked together, he found himself drawn deeper into her world. But more than that, he respected the boundaries she set. He knew she had been hurt before, that life hadn't always been kind to her, and he was careful not to push too hard, too fast. Instead, he let things unfold naturally, hoping that in time, she would open up to him completely. Meanwhile, Erika's designs for the company's interior project were progressing at an impressive pace. Andrew made it a point to check in on her regularly, always finding a reason to spend a little extra time with her. Sometimes it was under the guise of reviewing her latest sketches. Other times it was simply to share a cup of coffee and talk about life. Their conversations became more personal with each passing day, and slowly, Erika found herself letting her guard down, revealing pieces of her past that she had kept hidden for so long. One evening, after a long day of work, Andrew and Erika found themselves alone in the conference room, reviewing the final touches on one of her designs. The room was bathed in the soft glow of the setting sun, casting a warm light over the table where they sat. As they wrapped up their discussion, Andrew leaned back in his chair, his gaze lingering on Erika. "You know," he said quietly, "I've been thinking a lot about what you said the other day, about people being cruel." Erika looked up, surprised by the shift in the conversation. "What about it?" Andrew hesitated for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "I just want you to know that you're not alone in this. I know what it's like to feel like the world is against you. People assume that because I'm successful, I've never struggled. But that's not true. I've had my own battles to fight, my own demons to face." Erika blinked, taken aback by his vulnerability. She had always seen Andrew as this confident, self-assured businessman who had it all together. To hear him admit that he, too, had struggled was both surprising and strangely comforting. "I guess we all have our scars," she said softly, her eyes meeting his. Andrew smiled faintly. "Some are just easier to see than others." In that moment, something shifted between them. A deeper understanding, a mutual recognition of the pain they both carried. And for the first time, Erika allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, she didn't have to face her struggles alone. As the weeks passed, Erika and Andrew's connection grew stronger. Their work together on the interior design project flourished, and soon, they were meeting outside of office hours as well. It started innocently enough. A coffee here, a dinner there. But before long, It became clear that their relationship was evolving into something more than just professional. One evening, after a long day of meetings, Andrew suggested they grab dinner at a nearby restaurant. It was a cozy little place, tucked away in a quiet corner of the city, far from the bustling crowds. As they sat across from each other, enjoying their meal, the conversation flowed easily, as it always did between them. Erika found herself laughing at one of Andrew's stories, her usual reservations slipping away in his company. It felt good to be around him, to be able to relax and be herself without the constant fear of judgment. And though she still struggled with her insecurities, there was a part of her that was starting to believe that Andrew genuinely saw her for who she was, scars and all. As the evening wore on, Andrew leaned forward, his expression serious. "Erika, there's something I've been meaning to ask you." Her heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" Andrew hesitated for a moment before speaking. "I know you've been through a lot, and I don't want to overstep, but I care about you. I've cared about you for a while now, and I want you to know that whatever you're feeling, whatever you're going through, you don't have to face it alone." Erika's breath caught in her throat. She had known, on some level, that Andrew cared about her, but hearing him say it out loud made it all the more real. And as much as she wanted to believe him, a part of her still held back, afraid of getting hurt. "I don't know if I can do this," she admitted quietly, her voice trembling. "I've been hurt before, and I'm not sure I'm ready to open up like that again." Andrew reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "I understand, and I'm not asking you to rush into anything. I just want you to know that I'm here for you, no matter what." For a long moment, they sat in silence, the weight of his words hanging in the air between them. Erika's mind raced, torn between the fear of letting someone in and the undeniable pull she felt toward Andrew. Finally, she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "I care about you too, Andrew. I need time." Andrew smiled gently, giving her hand a reassuring squeeze. "Take all the time you need. I'll be here." Despite the growing connection between Erika and Andrew, the rumors at Sterling Enterprises continued to swirl. Employees whispered behind closed doors, speculating about the nature of their relationship. Some believed that Erika was only using Andrew to climb the corporate ladder, while others questioned why Andrew, a successful and handsome CEO, would be interested in someone like her. Erika tried to ignore the gossip, but it was becoming harder to do so. She could feel the eyes of her co-workers on her whenever she walked through the office, their judgment weighing heavily on her. And though Andrew assured her that none of it mattered, that he saw her for who she truly was, the insecurities she had carried for so long were difficult to shake. One afternoon, as she was walking to her next meeting, Erika overheard two employees talking in hushed voices. "Have you heard the latest?" one of them said. "Apparently, Andrew's been spending a lot of time with that designer, Erika." The other person snorted. "Yeah, I've seen them together. Honestly, I don't get it. What does he even see in her? She's not exactly CEO material, if you know what I mean." Erika felt a pang of hurt at their words, but she kept her head down and continued walking, pretending she hadn't heard anything. Still, their comments lingered in her mind, feeding into the doubts and fears she had been battling for so long. That evening, after another long day at work, Erika returned home, feeling emotionally drained. As she sat in her small apartment, staring out the window at the city below, she couldn't help but wonder if the rumors were right. What if Andrew was only interested in her out of pity? What if he didn't really see her as anything more than a project, something to fix or take care of? The thought weighed heavily on her heart, and for the first time in weeks, Erika found herself questioning whether she was truly worthy of the love and care that Andrew had shown her. The pressure of the rumors, combined with Erika's own insecurities, finally came to a head during a company event. Sterling Enterprises was hosting a gala to celebrate the launch of their latest project, and Andrew had personally invited Erika to attend as his guest. Though she had initially been hesitant, she eventually agreed, not wanting to disappoint him. As she arrived at the event, dressed in a simple yet elegant gown, Erika couldn't shake the feeling of being out of place. The room was filled with polished executives, glamorous socialites, and high-profile clients, all of whom seemed to fit effortlessly into the world of wealth and success. And though Andrew stayed by her side throughout the evening, introducing her to his colleagues and making sure she felt comfortable, Erika couldn't help but feel like an outsider. As the night went on, she overheard more whispers, people questioning her presence, wondering why Andrew had chosen her as his guest. The weight of their judgment became too much, and at one point, Erika excused herself, retreating to a quiet corner of the room. Andrew found her a few minutes later, her face pale and her eyes filled with tears. "Erika, what's wrong?" he asked, his voice full of concern. "I don't belong here," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I'm not like these people, Andrew. I'm not enough." Andrew's heart broke at her words. He took her hand, gently pulling her toward him. "Erika, you are more than enough. You're everything I've been looking for, and I don't care what anyone else thinks. All that matters to me is you." But Erika shook her head, her insecurities overwhelming her. "I can't do this," she said, her voice barely audible. "I can't handle the rumors, the judgment. I'm not strong enough." Andrew's grip tightened, his eyes pleading with her. "You are strong enough, Erika. You've been through so much, and you've come out the other side stronger than ever. Don't let them take that away from you." But no matter how hard Andrew tried to reassure her, Erika's doubts had taken root, and she couldn't shake them. That night, as they left the gala, the fragile bond they had built was put to the test, and for the first time, Erika began to wonder if their relationship was truly meant to last. Erika avoided Andrew for days after the gala. Her insecurities had deepened into full-blown self-doubt, and despite Andrew's reassurances, she couldn't shake the feeling that she didn't belong in his world. Every glance, every whisper she had heard that night haunted her, reminding her of the painful reality she had faced all her life, that people judged her for her appearance, for her background, and they never saw the real her. Andrew, on the other hand, was growing increasingly worried. He tried calling her, texting her, even dropping by her apartment, but Erika kept her distance. It hurt him deeply, but he didn't want to push too hard, fearing that he might drive her further away. He couldn't understand why she was pulling back, but he knew that he needed to give her the space she needed. However, the silence was unbearable for both of them. Erika felt torn between her feelings for Andrew and her fear that their worlds were simply too different to ever truly merge. On the one hand, Andrew was everything she had ever wanted in a partner: kind, caring, and patient. On the other, she couldn't help but think that he deserved someone more suited to his lifestyle, someone more glamorous and confident, not a woman who had spent her life trying to escape the shadows of her past. One evening, after days of internal torment, Erika decided that she needed to see Andrew. She had to explain her feelings to him, to make him understand that it wasn't his fault. It was her own inability to accept that someone like him could truly care for someone like her. She headed to his apartment, rehearsing her words in her mind, but when she arrived, what she saw froze her in her tracks. Through the large windows of Andrew's upscale apartment, Erika saw him sitting with a beautiful, elegantly dressed woman. The two were laughing, and the woman leaned in closer to Andrew, her hand resting lightly on his arm. The scene struck Erika like a blow to the chest. Suddenly, all her worst fears seemed confirmed. She wasn't good enough for Andrew. He had moved on, just as she had always feared he would. Heartbroken, Erika turned and walked away without even knocking on the door. Tears blurred her vision as she made her way back home, her mind racing. She had been foolish to think that someone like Andrew could ever love someone like her. She had let herself believe in something that was never real. Andrew was confused and hurt by Erika's sudden distance, and though he tried to give her space, he eventually realized that something had to give. He wasn't going to let her slip away without a fight. So, after several more days of silence, he decided to confront her. He showed up at Erika's apartment unannounced one evening, knocking firmly on her door. When Erika opened it, her heart sank at the sight of him. She hadn't been expecting him, and the pain of seeing him again after witnessing what she had assumed was his betrayal was almost too much to bear. "Erika, we need to talk," Andrew said. his voice filled with determination. She stepped aside, letting him in but keeping her arms crossed defensively. "There's nothing to talk about, Andrew," she said quietly, her gaze fixed on the floor. Andrew shook his head. "No, there's a lot to talk about. You've been avoiding me, and I don't understand why. I thought we had something." Erika's heart clenched at his words, but her hurt and pride kept her from giving in. "I saw you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Andrew frowned, confused. "What are you talking about?" "That night," Erika continued, her voice trembling, "I came to your apartment and I saw you with another woman." Realization dawned on Andrew's face, and he quickly moved toward her, shaking his head. "Erika, no, you've got it all wrong. That woman is a business associate, nothing more. She came over to discuss a deal we're working on. There's nothing going on between us." Erika's breath caught in her throat. Could it really have been that simple? Had she let her insecurities spiral out of control once again? "I swear to you, Erika," Andrew said, his voice soft but firm, "you're the only woman I care about. There's no one else." For the first time in days, Erika allowed herself to look up at Andrew, her eyes searching his face for any sign of deceit. But all she saw was honesty, and it was enough to break the walls she had built around herself. "I'm sorry," she whispered, tears filling her eyes. I didn't think I was good enough for you." Andrew gently cupped her face in his hands, wiping away her tears with his thumb. "Erika, you're more than good enough. You're everything I've ever wanted. Don't let anyone, not even yourself, make you believe otherwise." In that moment, something inside Erika shifted. For the first time, she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, she was worthy of love. And as Andrew pulled her into his arms, she realized that she had been wrong to push him away. He wasn't like the others who had hurt her in the past. He was different. He saw her, truly saw her, and that was something worth fighting for. With the misunderstanding cleared up, Erika and Andrew began to rebuild what had been strained. But this time, their relationship took on a deeper meaning. Erika found herself opening up to Andrew more than she ever had before, sharing parts of her past that she had kept hidden even from herself. She told him about the bullying she had endured as a child, about the cruel comments people had made about her appearance, and about the years she had spent believing that she was unworthy of love. Andrew listened patiently, never once interrupting or offering empty platitudes. Instead, he held her hand and let her talk, offering comfort through his presence. And when she had finished, he told her his own story, about the pressures of running a business, about the loneliness that often accompanied success, and about his own fears of never finding someone who would love him for who he truly was, rather than for his wealth or status. In sharing their vulnerabilities, they grew closer than ever before. Erika no longer felt like an outsider in Andrew's world. Instead, she began to see that they were two people who had been searching for the same thing all along: connection, understanding, and acceptance. And for the first time in her life, Erika felt like she had found a place where she truly belonged. But despite the progress they had made, there were still challenges ahead. The rumors at Sterling Enterprises hadn't gone away, and Erika knew that there would always be people who judged her for her appearance and her background. But with Andrew by her side, she felt stronger than ever. She had learned that her worth wasn't determined by what others thought of her, but by how she saw herself. As the months passed, Erika and Andrew's relationship continued to flourish. But there was one final hurdle they needed to overcome: the public perception of their relationship. Despite Erika's growing confidence, she still struggled with the idea of being seen as Andrew's partner in the eyes of the world. She feared the judgment, the whispers, and the inevitable scrutiny that would come with dating a high-profile businessman like Andrew. But Andrew had other plans. He was tired of hiding his feelings for Erika, tired of pretending that their relationship was something to be ashamed of. He wanted the world to know that she was the woman he loved, and he was willing to do whatever it took to make her feel secure in their relationship. So, one evening, Andrew invited Erika to a company gala, a much more public event than the one they had attended months earlier. This time, however, he had a plan. As they arrived at the event, Erika was nervous, her heart pounding in her chest. She wasn't sure she was ready to face the public eye again, especially after the rumors that had circulated last time. But Andrew squeezed her hand, offering her a reassuring smile. "You've got this," he whispered in her ear, "and I've got you." As they entered the ballroom, all eyes were on them. The room fell silent for a moment as people turned to stare at the unlikely couple, Andrew, the handsome billionaire, and Erika, the woman who had been the subject of so many rumors. But this time, Erika didn't shrink under their gaze. She stood tall, her hand firmly in Andrew's, and met their stares with quiet confidence. Then, in front of everyone, Andrew raised their joined hands and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "I want to introduce you all to Erika. She's not just the talented designer behind our latest project, but she's also the woman I love." A gasp rippled through the room, but Andrew didn't care. He turned to Erika, his eyes filled with love and pride. "I don't care what anyone else thinks. You're everything to me, and I want the world to know it." Tears filled Erika's eyes, but this time, they were tears of happiness. She had spent so long believing that she wasn't worthy of love, but Andrew had shown her that she was wrong. She was enough, just as she was, and for the first time in her life, she believed it. As the crowd began to applaud, Erika felt a sense of peace settle over her. She no longer cared about the whispers, the judgment, or the rumors. She had found love in the most unexpected place, and she wasn't going to let anything take that away from her. Together, Erika and Andrew faced the world with their heads held high, knowing that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. As Erika and Andrew's relationship grew stronger, Erika began to realize that in order to fully embrace her future, she needed to confront her past. She had spent so many years running from it, from the people who had hurt her, the insecurities they had caused, and the parts of herself she had hidden away. But now, with Andrew by her side, she felt ready to finally face it head-on. One evening, Erika sat down with Andrew and told him about a decision she had made. "I want to go back to my hometown," she said quietly. "There are people I need to see, things I need to confront." Andrew listened carefully, his eyes soft with understanding. "You don't have to do it alone, Erika," he said. "I'll be with you every step of the way." But Erika shook her head. "No, this is something I need to do on my own. I've spent my whole life hiding from my past, and I think it's time I face it. I need to find closure." Andrew respected her decision, though he made it clear that if she needed him, he would be there. With his support in her heart, Erika booked a ticket to her small hometown, a place she hadn't returned to in years. The town hadn't changed much. It still held the same memories, both good and bad. As she walked down the streets, past the old schoolyard where she had been bullied and the shops where people used to whisper about her, Erika felt a mixture of fear and strength. This was the place that had shaped her, but it no longer had power over her. Her first stop was at the home of an old school friend, a girl who had stood by her side through the worst of the bullying. They hadn't spoken in years, and Erika felt a pang of guilt as she knocked on the door. But when her friend opened the door and saw Erika standing there, her face lit up with surprise and joy. "Erika!" she exclaimed, pulling her into a warm hug. "I can't believe it's you." They spent hours catching up, reminiscing about their childhood and talking about everything that had happened since. Erika told her friend about Andrew, about the success she had found, and about the struggles she had overcome. It was cathartic, and for the first time in a long time, Erika felt a sense of peace wash over her. Her next stop was more difficult. She visited her childhood home, the place where so many of her insecurities had taken root. Her parents had always been supportive, but they had also been overprotective, sheltering her from the world in a way that had only heightened her fears of rejection. Now, standing in the home she had left behind, Erika felt a wave of emotions. But she was no longer the frightened girl she had once been. She was a woman who had faced the world, found love, and discovered her own strength. With each step she took through the house, she let go of the pain that had once held her back. When Erika returned to the city, she felt lighter, as if a burden had been lifted from her shoulders. But little did she know that her greatest test was yet to come. Rumors had started circulating at Sterling Enterprises, rumors about Erika and her relationship with Andrew. Some employees, jealous of her connection to the CEO, began spreading lies about her, suggesting that she had only gotten close to Andrew for his money and status. The whispers grew louder, and soon, Erika found herself at the center of a scandal she hadn't seen coming. When Andrew heard about the rumors, he was furious. He had worked hard to protect Erika from the toxic environment that sometimes came with being in the public eye, but now it seemed that they couldn't escape it. He called a meeting with his senior staff, determined to put an end to the gossip once and for all. "What you're doing is cruel and unfounded," Andrew said, his voice cold and commanding as he addressed his team. "Erika is not only an incredibly talented designer, but she is also the woman I love. Anyone who continues to spread these lies will no longer have a place in this company." But even as Andrew defended her, Erika knew that she couldn't let him fight her battles for her. She had come too far to let a few jealous people tear her down. So, she decided to confront the rumors herself. At the next company meeting, Erika stood before the entire team and told them her story. She didn't sugarcoat her past. She talked about her struggles with self-esteem, the bullying she had faced, and the years she had spent believing that she wasn't good enough. But she also talked about her journey of self-acceptance, about how she had found strength in herself and in the love she had with Andrew. "I am not ashamed of who I am," Erika said, her voice steady. "I've worked hard to get to where I am today, and I'm proud of the person I've become. If anyone here has a problem with that, then that's their issue, not mine." Her words were met with stunned silence, and then, slowly, applause began to fill the room. One by one, her colleagues rose to their feet, showing their support for her. Erika's heart swelled with pride as she realized that she had finally found her voice. The scandal had been difficult, but it had also strengthened Erika and Andrew's relationship. They had faced adversity together and come out stronger on the other side. Andrew was more in love with Erika than ever, and he knew that he didn't want to spend another day without her by his side. One evening, as they sat together on the balcony of Andrew's apartment, looking out at the city skyline, Andrew took Erika's hand in his. "There's something I've been meaning to ask you," he said, his voice soft but serious. Erika turned to him, her heart skipping a beat. She had a feeling she knew what was coming, but she wasn't sure if she was ready. Andrew reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. When he opened it, a stunning diamond ring sparkled in the moonlight. Erika's breath caught in her throat as she stared at the ring, her mind racing. "Erika," Andrew said, his voice filled with emotion, "you've changed my life in ways I never thought possible. You've made me a better man, and I can't imagine my future without you in it. Will you marry me?" Tears welled in Erika's eyes as she looked at the man she loved. She had spent so many years believing that she would never find love, but here she was, with a man who saw her for who she truly was and loved her unconditionally. "Yes," she whispered, her voice breaking with emotion. "Yes, Andrew, I will marry you." Andrew slipped the ring onto her finger, and as they embraced, Erika felt a sense of happiness she had never known before. She had found love, and she had found herself. The months that followed were filled with joy and excitement as Erika and Andrew planned their wedding. But it wasn't just the wedding that marked a new beginning for them. It was the life they were building together. Erika had officially taken on a leadership role at Sterling Enterprises, using her talents as a designer to help steer the company in new and innovative directions. She was no longer the shy, insecure woman who had once doubted her worth. She was confident, strong, and proud of the person she had become. Andrew, too, had grown. His love for Erika had taught him the importance of vulnerability and emotional connection, and he had become a more empathetic and understanding leader. Together, they were a powerful team, both in business and in life. Their wedding was a beautiful, intimate affair, attended by close friends and family. As they stood together, exchanging vows, Erika couldn't help but marvel at how far she had come. She had once thought that she would never find love, but now, she realized that love had been within her all along. She had simply needed to believe in herself in order to find it. As they walked hand in hand down the aisle, surrounded by the people who had supported them, Erika and Andrew knew that their journey together was just beginning. They had faced challenges, overcome obstacles, and found a love that was deeper than either of them had ever imagined. And as they looked toward the future, they knew that no matter what life threw their way, they would face it together, stronger, wiser, and more in love than ever before. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the story. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more delightful stories.